Have you been here before?
First time, just doing a little hiking.
Piece of advice. Keep to the marked trail.
Sweet land of liberty. Trying to stop it, why can't I stop it? Tears are falling to the rhythm of the beat. Trying to stop it, why can't I stop it? Yeah, I'm dancing till the hurt reaches my feet. 'Cause all I hear is the sound of my heart break on the dance floor. Can't take it no more. I try to keep moving. Feel like I'm losing. I got heartbreak on the dance floor. Heartbreak on the dance floor. Oh, heartbreak on the dance floor for you. I got heartbreak on the dance floor. Heartbreak on the dance floor. Oh, heartbreak on the dance floor for you.
What is pussy poppin', you beautiful humans? My name is Ariane Andrew.
I'm Matt Dillon, and welcome to another piping hot episode of Sippin' the Tea, girl, where we what?
Where we sip the tea and our guests spill that. Oh!
That was your return to finish that, Vardaan. Hello.
Oh, it was? I was like, wait, is this like a little bit that you guys have planned? I was having so much fun watching it. Sorry, sip the tea. Correct. Yes. Yeah. I feel like I should have a cup of tea with me right now. I didn't plan ahead, but I'm so sorry. That was my cue, and I totally messed it up. I'm so sorry.
I love it. No, we're keeping this in because we haven't even introduced who you are yet, but we're gonna get there. How are you, Ari?
I'm well, boo. I got my little glitty glit here. Who you got over there?
We got Miss Mama here. She's serving full length today.
Once again, I feel like the odd one out. I don't have a pet with me, unfortunately.
Well, listen, everybody that's hearing you speak, Vardaan Arora, musician, actor, new film, Wrong Turn, just dropped. A lot of good things happening for you, sir. So welcome to Sippin' the Tea officially. You were kind of putting that intro a little bit, but welcome.
No, thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting. It's so good to see you guys.
Ditto. Yeah. Well, we're gonna hop right on in. 2020 clearly was a year that we will never, ever, ever forget. And
oh my gosh.
Someone who has been
the emphasis on ever,
legit. And with someone who's very open about talking about mental health, how were you able to cope during 2020? And what were like some reflective things that you took away with your career and with yourself personally?
So I think the timing of this year, I mean, of course, I can only speak for myself personally, but I feel like the timing of this year, just like it colliding with me being in my late 20s, I feel like there were a lot of aha moments for me that happened in 2020. I feel like I had a lot of time to spend with myself, obviously, because so much of what we do in our daily life was taken away from us. Sort of made me realize that it is okay to just exist. Sometimes I feel like a lot of times we feel too guilty for doing nothing with our day, or for staying in bed longer than we should have, or for not going to the gym. There are all these rules that we come up with for ourselves. And when you really start to look at life for what it is, it's okay to relax sometimes. It's okay to take things slow. It's okay to do what feels good without feeling guilty about it. So I think that 2020 was crazy, and we all had to figure out what to do with all this time that we had. Like, work was slower for me. And I just felt like I learned how to not beat myself up as much. I was very lucky to have access to therapy still. I've been in therapy for a few years, and we had to switch to virtual therapy, but I was lucky to have access to that and just focus on myself and embrace uncertainty in a way that I had struggled to do in the past. And also creatively, I was lucky to have a passion project, my debut EP that I worked on through most of the year. And we're going to get to that later, hopefully. But yeah, I mean, of course, nothing's linear. I mean, there are ups and downs, but I think that the year has taught me to be resilient. I feel like it's taught a lot of us that we're stronger than we think and that we're able to adapt to new problems thrown at us, and that we're able to cope in ways that might surprise us.
Yeah. Thank
You
you
were
for
just saying, girl, that this is like a therapy session, what we do here at Sippin' the Tea. So I'm feeling already, I'm feeling
I'm already
relaxed
feeling
already.
that
Let me
coming
just,
on.
no, but
I'm
thank
like,
you
the
for
tears are gonna start flowing soon.
oh, don't you worry.
no, thank you for sharing about therapy, because I see a therapist myself, and I think it's great when someone has a platform to actually be open and honest with it, because I know mental health a lot of times, you know, it's looked down upon, but I feel like the more people come out and share their stories and say like, hey, this is what I'm doing to work through my problems, it just really sheds light and makes it's empowering to let people know that they're not alone who are struggling like those silent battles. So thank you for like
Yeah, of
putting that
course.
out there, because there's not a lot of people who are open and honest about those things.
I mean, that's one of the biggest reasons why I am so open about it. It's because I feel like normalizing it is makes such a big difference, and it contributes to, you know, ending that stigma around it. Because, you know, I struggle with OCD, and that's a mental illness, but that's not who I am. You know what I mean? Like, it's like people who struggle with any other illness that may be physical. It's just you want to treat it, and I feel like in a lot of ways, because I have had access to therapy, I've learned so much more about myself and how my brain works. And I feel like just being open and honest about it is only going to help other people do the same for themselves, hopefully. So, yeah.
I like that.
Yes.
I like that openness. I think that's really like a takeaway for everybody, really, and just in life in general, like to just feel with yourself and be at one with yourself. I love that. All right,
Cool.
so let's talk about Wrong Turn and the reimagining 2021 version. As a young and myself, I remember watching these movies and being thoroughly obsessed. So I want to hear from your perspective what it was like to be involved in this recreation, and kind of, you know, whether it's something that as a kid that you were obsessed with. Like, give us the tea. Let us know.
So first of all, I feel like I still have days where I do not believe that I got to work on this project. Like, it feels too good to be true. I have been a fan of horror as a genre from a very young age. I remember being super young, and I would bully my cousins and my sibling and my brother into acting in these homemade horror movies that I would just want to make. And I just grew up watching so many of them. And you know, I auditioned for this project, and I feel like as an actor, you're sort of out of sight, out of mind. You like audition for something and you don't want to be thinking about it all the time, or else you're just going to drive yourself insane. So I was like, okay, well, that's done. And like, what are the odds that, because this is the first film that I've ever worked on, and what are the odds that it happens to be a horror film, and a horror film that is rebooting this sort of long running franchise that's iconic in its own right. So I remember getting the day that I got the part, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get a bottle of champagne and watch the original Wrong Turn, because even though I'm a huge horror fan, believe it or not, I'd never seen the original in its entirety. I feel like I'd just seen like clips from it, or like pictures from it, like in bits and pieces. I feel like it was on TV a lot. But I was like, I'm going to watch it start to finish. And I finished reading the script the same day too. I was super, super pumped. And after finishing the script, I was like, this is totally different from the original. But Alan McElroy, who wrote the original, also wrote this reimagining. So I had a lot of faith in his vision. I was like, it's super cool for a writer to be able to go back and reimagine their own work. I feel like that doesn't happen super often. And then Mike P. Nelson, who directed this new film, also directed another film called The Domestics, which I also watched after finding out that I was going to work on this project, and loved it so much. It was super effective in what it was trying to do, and it built this whole new universe, which I also think the new Wrong Turn film does. So I just had a really good feeling about it. And yeah, then the next thing I knew, a few months after that, I was in Ohio with this great cast and crew working on this film, and it still feels surreal till this date.
Well, it's real.
It is.
It is real. As of like this week, it's out
I was
everywhere
like, it's
now.
real.
So, I'm going to dive off a little bit just because there's so many people who I believe moved to New York and to Los Angeles to pursue these dreams of being an actor or a singer and all these things. And for someone like you just said, who you went to audition, you kind of like put it out of your mind, what advice would you give to someone out there who is trying to put their, foot in the door and try to make their dreams come true? What is something that you would say would be an advice or a little nugget that you would give?
Well, first of all, that is a very flattering question. I'm like, am I even equipped to give any advice? Because half the time I can't even take my own advice. But it's
don't underestimate yourself. Don't underestimate. I mean, clearly clearly you have talent and you're killing it. Okay, where most people would love to have what you have right now.
Actually, that's interesting that you bring this up. I'm going to answer your question in a second, but I do want to talk about this really quickly because I feel like imposter syndrome is such an insidious beast that lives in so many of us. And I struggle with that too, where it's like, oh, this probably happened as an accident, or like I feel like anytime anything good happens to us, we question it and we doubt it until we don't believe it anymore. But anytime anything bad happens to us, we like fully accept it. We're like, yeah, we deserve this. So why is it that anytime anything good happens to us, we doubt it? But trying to work on that. But yeah, in terms of advice, I just feel like you got to remember why you're doing it. And there have been times where I've gotten so caught up in how the industry works or the capitalism of it all that you forget what makes it fun for you.
Yeah.
And you got to remember what makes it fun for you. And sometimes, believe it or not taking it super, super seriously is helpful. It's been helpful for me because what I love about acting is that it makes you feel like a child again. It's like you're able to create a different world for yourself. You're able to play make-believe. It feels like playing, And when the fun is taken out of it, it just feels like a chore. And you never want it to feel like a chore. So I feel like that's been a super important thing for me to remember. And that also makes all the rejection easier. Because there is a lot of rejection in this field. And something else that's helped me is to remember that there's so much that's out of your control.
Yes.
You absolutely cannot focus on, or you can't ask yourself why you didn't get a job or why you didn't get a part. It's just, there's so many factors that go into that decision that are out of your control. You may be too tall, you may be too short. You may be too attractive, you may not be attractive, and you'll never know. And
that's going down the drain.
it's just like you never want to fall down that rabbit hole. And I feel like a lot of actors, and I have too in the past, started to wonder like, oh, is it me? And that just opens the door to a lot of other bullshit that you don't want to deal with. Am I allowed to swear?
Yes.
Right? Yeah, okay, great.
I mean, I literally started the interview off with pussy pop. So.
Yes, you did. Okay, that is true.
I want to touch on that you just said, like, I think representation, and now there's this big discussion happening. And it's a lot of like, you're not right for this, you're not right for this, you're not right for that. But I feel like that discussion has so much further to go, but is on a more perhaps like vocal platform right now. What's your take on like, seeing you being in a mainstream film and seeing more kind of, culture and diversity kind of like breaking down the norm? What's your spin on that?
So a few things. I think that it's hard because I was told from the get-go that it was going to be way harder for someone like me. I am a queer person of color, a queer artist of color, and I had braced myself for that. But now, because people are so starved for such representation, I feel like everyone's super nitpicky with it. I've already seen discourse online about this film, and it's a horror film, and the horror genre, I feel like, lacks representation in this department. Like, there aren't a lot of queer characters, let alone queer characters of color. I feel like there aren't a lot of queer characters, period, in horror films. And that is changing. And I feel like our film is contributing to that. So I was super, super proud. And I felt super lucky to be able to work on this project, because the character I play is gay in the film and is obviously brown. And a lot of times I audition for parts that are straight, because queer characters that are written in film and TV are often white. So this was super rare for me to even get to audition for a part like this. It doesn't happen every day. And to be able to actually get the part and work on the film, it added to the whole, like, is this real? Like, is this happening to me? Like, how is that even possible? Yeah. But now that the film is out, I'm seeing some people who are, because it's a supporting character, and people, there are people who are upset that the character gets killed off, or the character isn't in it for long enough, because people are so starved for representation. They're sort of dissecting it, and I do see that. I see both sides, but for me, it feels super celebratory. Like, I'm super proud that I got to be able to play this part. And the two gay characters in the film are both people of color, which is, it's like they're an interracial gay couple, and one of the usually in interracial couples on screen too, one of them is usually white, but in this film that's not the case. So that's also, I just felt like that was super awesome. I mean, of course there are some people complaining about how it's unrealistically diverse or too diverse, and like, you know, right-wingers will be right-wingers, but I
please, everybody. Perfectly said, actually, perfectly said.
I know, but I do think that this is a step in the right direction, and hopefully it opens doors for more people like me, more characters like that being written in horror films. I really want to see like a queer lead in a horror film, like the person who survives at the end, like a mainstream horror film. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Put it out there and say that you're about to be.
But that's true. We're gonna throw it to you.
Manifest it. No, for real.
I've been trying. We'll keep our fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Well, to like lead off of what we were just talking about, of being someone of color and someone who's a part of the LGBT community, you're definitely breaking barriers and making things come to life. You are part of this huge movement. And for someone who is in the entertainment industry that's doing acting, you also do music, kind of walk our audience through breaking down barriers in that sense. I mean, Billboard, did an amazing article on you about your EP. So Heartbreak on the Dancefloor, kind of give us the inspiration behind that and how you even got into music.
It's interesting. I went to college for acting. I went to NYU. I actually moved to the States from India when I was 18 to go to college. And I graduated college. I still wasn't able to work yet because I didn't have a green card. And that's, you know, immigration in the United States is not an easy beast to navigate. But I was lucky to be able to start working in 2015, I think is when I finally got my green card. And it was a huge moment for me. And a lot of, you know, with acting, especially when you're just starting out, a lot of it is just waiting for the phone to ring. It's like, when am I going to get my next audition? And in your downtime, it's hard to feel creatively fulfilled. And I'd always loved singing. You know, I would record covers and put them up on YouTube. And I wanted to start writing. I'd never written a song before, but I'd been such a fan of pop music all my life that I was like, I just gotta take this leap of faith. And I put out a single in 2016. I worked with this producer who I knew who lived in Nashville at the time. And I just flew out there. You know, it's like a 2-hour flight from New York back when it was safe to fly. And I wrote this song, and it's suddenly like it all clicked. I was like, wait, this is a medium that I had no idea that I even had access to this medium, but it just felt so liberating to be able to write about whatever I wanted to write about. Like I feel like with acting, it's fulfilling in a different way, but you're playing characters. You're helping tell other people's stories. But with music, it's like I can write my own story. And it doesn't matter if other people get my lyrics, I get my lyrics. And it felt very fulfilling. And that song, when it came out, ended up on Spotify's viral 50 charts. And I feel like that was a little bit of a happy accident because it was my first single. And then all of a sudden I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to do more of this. And I feel like I experimented a lot with my songwriting and with how I wanted things to sound. And, you know, I made a few mistakes, and I just feel like it was a huge learning process for me. And cut to 2020, I released my debut EP because I'd only put out singles before because I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my music. And I was going through a breakup back in January of last year. And I had a couple of friends out in LA who I work with on my music, another friend out in Toronto. And I just worked on all these songs right before the pandemic hit. And and then through the pandemic, remotely worked with my friends who I collaborate with, my music producer friends and songwriter friends. And I was able to put together this project and release it in August of last year. So that was like mid-COVID. I mean, I feel like we're still mid-COVID, but
right?
That was like, yeah. So that was the inspiration behind it. And I feel like that project feels like I finally knew what I wanted to say with I didn't want to release an EP just for the sake of releasing an EP. And with this, it was sort of, it captured different nuances and facets of me. There's songs about heartbreak, there's songs about confidence, there's songs about anxiety. It's just a lot of different sides of me that come together to give you an idea of who I am as a person through 6 songs.
I think it has a stamp on it though. It feels very unique. And it's,
thank you.
And it's packaging of everything. You know what I mean? It's like you definitely have a unique lane that you're in.
Thank you.
With these little bop, his little like, you know, it's like a.
Well, I think that like that's important.
Come on.
That's important to me though. Like when people are listening to my music, I want them to be doing exactly that. I feel like the lyrics are often darker and more vulnerable, but I want the production and the sound and the melodies to be super catchy and just feel good. I just want you to be able to dance to it.
That's awesome. So speaking of feeling good and you're over here living your best life, putting your hands into so many different things, what does 2021 look like for you? I mean, I can't believe how fast time is already gone, but
oh my gosh, it's been a year. Like? I mean, you know what? First of all, you're right. I can't believe it's about to be a year since we went into lockdown. So RIP. But you know, I'm hoping. And again, like as I mentioned earlier, one of the things that I learned from 2020 was being okay with discomfort and embracing uncertainty. So to answer your question, I'm not 100% sure what's going to happen this year.
I love that.
But I can tell you what I want to happen. I want.
What do you want? What do you want?
I've been auditioning as actors do. I've been writing, and I am not 100% sure where all that is going to take me, but I know that it's going to take me somewhere, you know, like I'm going to be, and that's enough for me for now. Just taking it day by day and not putting pressure on myself or comparing myself to others. I feel like that's the trap that I fall into a lot is
I think everybody
my journey to other people's, but so we will see is the short answer to that. We will see, like, let's see, ...
Yes, but thank you for keeping it like so 1000%. This is the first interview that we've had where you're just open and honest saying like, I don't know. Where most people are like, well, this, and this. And it's so great to see you be so authentic to who you are instead of, you know, being like, I have to get X, Y, and Z done. You know what I mean?
So there's a fragility to it that's like real. I think life is like uncertain, no matter, it's nice to have hope and dream, but it's like you've got to
Exactly. I mean, I could sugarcoat it and be like, yeah, I'm working on a super exciting music project. Like it's gonna be out sometime later this year.
I'll be
You
like
know,
that.
and I'm not gonna lie, I have done that before in interviews and stuff. I'm like, yeah, I can't talk about it yet. But the reality is, I don't know. Yes, I know that I will be productive this year. I know that things are coming. I just don't know exactly what they are yet. And that's okay.
And that's enough.
That's enough. Yes. Love
I'm gonna hit that rapid fire, honey. We gotta shake this up a little bit.
Okay.
Rapid fire up in this mother. Okay.
Oh,
I'm like a little nervous about it.
Ladies first. You go first, girl.
You know what's funny is that this is life. It's my rapid fire, the email. Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go. So if your house is on fire, what are the two things that you're grabbing and bouncing out with?
Okay, I think this might be a little boring, but my phone, now that I said it out loud, I feel like my phone is always with me. I'm literally glued to it at all times. So I probably already have it with me when my house is on fire. So probably my computer. I feel like there's valuable files on there, like with my music and stuff. And then my green card, because those are hard to replace, and they're expensive to replace. And it's also the only that's actually the only form of ID that I have, I think, and my passport. Which, if I'm allowed to, I would like to take both my green cards.
All right, we'll give you that.
We'll give you 3. We said 2, but we'll give you 3.
You get 3. All right, this is a tough one because you are a horror buff. And I did this just to screw you up because I couldn't pick between the two. Jamie Lee Curtis or Neve Campbell, and why?
I would have to.
And
I know. I would have to pick Neve. I love Jamie Lee Curtis, but I would have to pick Neve Campbell only because the Scream movie franchise is my all-time favorite.
Sidney Prescott's about to come back.
Sidney Prescott, and there's the new ones coming out.
I know. I'm super excited. Get in on it? Have they wrapped? What's going on?
I know. I didn't audition for that. I guess. Yeah. I mean, that would be like too much for me. I feel like I would be fangirling a little too hard on set.
Me too. I'd be like,
I would have been. I'd be I'd be a liability. So I don't know. Maybe they. Maybe they did the right thing by not asking me to audition for that.
Oh my gosh. So if you had one superpower, what would it be?
Teleportation.
That's
my whole family is in India and they always are begging me to come back, but it's just such a long flight. And I always think, I was like, if I could just snap my fingers and just like go there for the weekend and then come back, that would be ideal.
The future is ever evolving. So who knows? Maybe in 2028, we're going to see some teleportation happening.
One can hope, one can dream.
Right? Okay, well, go ahead. Last one.
There's one more.
I was about to wrap it on up, but
I see, girl. I want to see, let's see what's happening in quarantine. Who's the last person you texted? Make it juicy. Let's go.
Who's the last person I texted? Actually, I just was texting with Steven, who did the score for the film Wrong Turn, because the soundtrack from the movie, like the original score, is coming out on Spotify this week. And we were messaging because I reached out to him and I was like, the score of the movie, you guys, is so good. Like, if you like horror movies, like I'm sure you know, like the music makes it.
Yes.
And elevates it to a new level. And it's super unsettling, the score. But yeah, I was literally just texting him before this interview.
He's on the hustle and grind. He's like, let me.
No, not even. I was like genuinely just like such like a fangirling, and I was like, this is so good. And he was like, oh, most people don't notice the score. I was like, really? I feel like that's like the most important thing, which like tells me that people just don't know what to look for, I guess. But the score of the movie is so good, you guys.
Well, speaking of score and people who do live under a rock. So for people who are living under a rock and don't know about score, no, I'm just kidding. So for people who are living under a rock, let everybody know where they can follow you at, where they can watch the film, where they can listen to your music. Go ahead, spill the tea.
Yeah, you can follow me at Vardaan Arora on Twitter and Instagram, because those are the only two that I use. And Vardaan Arora on Spotify if you want to listen to my music. And you can watch the film. It's out, available to rent on demand or buy at, I mean, anywhere where you can rent and buy movies. So like Amazon Prime, iTunes, YouTube, wherever else.
The whole nines, girl.
Where can everybody follow you at, Matt?
You can follow me at Matt Dillon 1983. And what about you, girl?
You guys can follow me across the board at Ariane Andrew. And of course, follow Sippin' the Tea at Sippin' the Tea TV show on Instagram and Sippin' the Tea TV1 on Twitter. And of course, watch our stuff. You can download
Please watch
YouTube.
our stuff.
Watch this
Watch
shit,
this on YouTube, but you can also listen to it on all streaming platforms. But we will catch you guys same time, same place of another episode of Sippin' the Tea TV show.
Man.
Try to keep moving.